Hello everyone and welcome to the Wicked Weekly. My name is Brian if you happen to be new around here. And in today's video we're looking at perhaps patch number 1 is being much closer than I originally estimated. Of course, I'll be keeping you guys up to date. We're also still waiting for Hotfix number 4. That is estimated to come this week, and as soon as those patch notes drop, I'll be sure to break them down. But I think I want to open up with a little bit of exciting news, and I want to add in a little bit of my development experience because I think this is an important ongoing conversation that each and every one of us has. Thomas sends out, folks, we're bringing a huge optimization that should have quite the dramatic effect on lower end machines. This should particularly be helpful for Steam Deck and other handheld devices. And I think this is something that is really exciting. This is going to always be an ongoing thing. So putting on my developer hat for you guys, yes, optimization is an important thing, and it's going to have to continue on as they expand on this game, as they continue to build it out, as they add in new things. Well, they're going to have to do more optimization along those lines. The good news is that they've got a team of 90 people, and so it doesn't necessarily mean that development has to slow down for them to do optimization. They can have a focused amount of people who are just working on making this game run as best as it can across multiple types of devices. And this is no easy task, but I just wanted to give you that bit of hope. I know that when I play on Steam Deck, it actually plays pretty well. There's a few things you notice going from Steam Deck to PC and back and forth, but at the end of the day, I think they're actually in a pretty decent position, all things considered. But like I alluded to at the start of the video, folks, patch number 1 is going to be pretty big. And that is what has led me to thinking that it's going to be further along, maybe in June, maybe in July. And these estimates could still be correct, but Thomas is sharing some information here over on X saying patch 1 soon. Now, I don't know what he means by soon. Soon could be a whole variety of different things. The developer brain in me usually thinks several weeks is a soon. So if you were telling me as a developer, what does that mean? I would put, 3-4 weeks. Soon is kind of like 2 sprints worth of work. That's Brian speaking. This is not Thomas or Moon Studios saying this, but that's just the estimate that I'm getting, which does put us right into the start of June, which is actually, I think, pretty exciting considering all that they've already shared about patch number 1 and all that's to come later. I think one of the goals that I have here at the channel is to keep you guys all informed about the content updates and the news and what's going on with guides and so much more, because there's always going to be a little bit of miscommunication. People are going to hear something and they're going to automatically think maybe the job system is rolling in patch number 1. I don't think that's the case based off everything we've seen. That's most likely going to be next year in terms of development timetables. So I'm going to try to keep you guys with the estimates, with the speculation, and as well as the analysis with what Thomas is saying and what I think it means as a developer. Now, also what's interesting to highlight this is that they are talking about opening up a public test realm. And when they say PTR, it could be a private test realm for this game. I think that's going to help them out dramatically, even though early access is kind of that thing. But when we saw going into this update, having more hands on deck, testing and reporting these things can make the bigger public marketing experience much easier. And then you don't get into review bomb drama that we saw unfold last week. Also to highlight, and just like mentally, mathematically, I'm currently separating patch 1 from the multiplayer update because Thomas is also speaking of them like they are 2 separate updates. So it's highly possible patch number 1 is a big focus, a big push, big user feedback changes that they prioritized, and that's going to be the quick follow, aka maybe 2 sprints from now. And then the multiplayer update, which is the next big milestone update, that could take a little bit more time. I've been originally estimating July and August for said update, but as it becomes more clear, I'll be sure to give you guys all the news. And speaking of which, welcome in to the 1,500 of you guys who are new here at the channel. Thank you guys so much. We just had an epic stream this weekend doing hardcore mode runs, hanging out with the community. We were able to give away 2 copies on the live stream of this game, getting 2 new people playing No Rest for the Wicked and financially supporting the devs that way. I will be giving away a couple copies for those of you who comment in the comment section of those live streams. I've got 1 person set. I'm just waiting for kind of payday to come in, and then I'll be gifting out the copy of that game as well. And so guys, if you are interested, I would love to have you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the news and the updates, just like with Nika, with LLJJ, with Josh, and with Downharden. Welcome in, guys. I'm so glad that you're here, but we got more to cover. There's a lot to break down here in today's video, and I want to kind of give you guys some more things that Thomas is sharing. He's been sharing a lot over this weekend, and there's a real interesting thing that he teased out. And I didn't open the video with this because I think it's really for more the diehard fans that are just like, wait, is he serious? So we're going to talk about that. It starts with an interesting conversation, but before we get to that, he's also sharing some more things over on X and on Discord. Thomas writes, at some point, it's also going to be fun to potentially do some crossover stuff as long as it's done in a tasteful manner. I could easily see us making deals with Konami and others in order to play with people's nostalgia. It'd be fun to play as Richard or Simon Belmont within Wicked. We have whips as a new weapon archetype, so that would be a perfect fit. I love to play with Link outfit and be able to upgrade the Master Sword and the Hylian Shield and basically play a dark version of Zelda within Wicked. Kratos and Chaos Blades would also be very neat. Or Arthas and the Frostmourne Sword. Lots of possibilities here. Now, this is building off of what he shared with us last year, kind of teased out somewhat what Zelda look like in No Rest for the Wicked, kind of with that art style. Obviously, he'd have to team up with Nintendo, and the question would end up being is that this is a cross-play, cross-save game when it launches on multiple platforms. We know it's coming to Switch too, for those of you who aren't aware. That's something known. Thomas has expressed that interest as well. And so it could be something where maybe having the Switch 2 version can get you some various different outfits like that. Honestly, really interested in that. Ultimately, though, it'd have to work across all of it, right? So you unlock it through the Nintendo, and then essentially you have it elsewhere. But the whips aspect, that's exciting. Lots of opportunities here. And honestly, I'm all in on it. I think that's something, especially as an old school gamer, as somebody who grew up SNES, NES, N64, PlayStation, you know, Sega, all that good stuff. Yeah, let's go with it. Let's see what we can do. Obviously, I wanted it to be tasteful and fitting. I think Salmon Belmont, I think the Castlevania series would fit the vibe really well here. But if you guys have any thoughts about what you'd like to see crossover-wise, sound off. I'd love to hear your thoughts about those as well. Now, moving on, one of the things that's interesting about combat, and we are seeing these things, and I would start to think maybe this is going to be in patch number 1, but it could end up missing patch number 1 and being much later. It all really depends on their goals. But Thomas shares out that you're going to actually be able to fight with your torch. It's going to have its own moonset. This is interesting because he also talked about your offhands are going to have their own runes as well. So from a combat and a balance perspective, hand offhand, I'm wondering if this also applies to shields. It'd be kind of cool to have a different kind of shield bash and things of that nature. As this evolves, I think I'm excited to see how that plays out. But the idea, though, you'll be able to fight with the torch is great. Now, those things break pretty quickly. And if you guys haven't been stepping into some of the new areas within the Breach update, they can get quite dark. So having an extra light source can be a huge help. There's also a spell, if you guys aren't aware, you can go slot in for Illuminate. I love it. It works really well. But yeah, that's just a pro tip if you guys are curious. Now, Thomas shares over on X, I have a theory on why we're usually getting these cookie cutter stories and experiences from most AAA games. I think it has a lot to do with the working environment ultimately. A good story always needs a personal touch because as people, we flock to the truth. Now most AAA studios are essentially factories where it's clear that everyone involved that there is one simple goal: make products that make and have a predictable amount of money in a reliable way year on year. And that's the problem right there. Once that is the MO, it's not just about making quality. If you work at a place where you get performance reviewed and you know exactly that unless you do X, Y, or Z and hit your targets, you might just become part of the group that is affected by the next round of layoffs. There's really no reason why you'd make yourself vulnerable at all. Given that setup, the fundamentals aren't there for people to create art. You just might make a decent product, but you'll never reach those higher heights that will elevate the product beyond what has already existed. Artists need to be able to work in an environment where they can say whatever they want and make themselves vulnerable, where mistakes are tolerated instead of being an excuse for firing, and a place that allows you to explore, research, and try radical things. And it needs someone at the helm who doesn't just encourage that, but makes it mandatory. I know all of this might sound a bit much like common sense, but most publishers bet billions of dollars not understanding this basic truth. And that's just risk management 101. Why like it sucks, but I'm like, I get the publishers, like you just wrote a big ass check, you know, for $500 million. Like you're going to want to know what that return on investment is. And like, that's why I always kind of describe video games as just a miracle. The fact that they exist at all, the fact that many people with the funding needed, and then a market that's hungry for the product, like that in and of itself, I think is a real luxury of the modern age. However, all that being said, I think Thomas is really hitting the note on the head here. This is essentially where I think the future of video games is going. We talked a little bit about this on the live stream. I think the future of video games is smaller teams making more gameplay focused products. I've talked about this numerous times. If I wanted to watch a movie, I'll go watch Netflix. And I'm not saying I don't want a really good story and presentation within these games, but the gameplay has to hit first. And that's one of the things I think No Rest for the Wicked has in spades. Now, let's get into a little bit of Q&A, and this is the conversation. This is the real interesting piece of the video, in my personal opinion, but let's dive into it. Ogre's Club Enjoyer says, Thomas, any plans to let players increase the focus they gain on per weapons or decrease the stamina cost? Sometimes it's really sad when you get a weapon that you're looking for hours, but it has 5 or 6 gain on even if you upgrade it to the max, and Exalted, the focus gain doesn't really change. And Thomas does say the randomness is actually going to go away in patch number 1. So we can say, hey, whenever that hits, there we freaking go. All right. Then he goes on to say, he just fixed all the Great Hammer stuff having old iframe clips. I do not know how we missed that. That's crazy. In reply, Scrat says, is the gnarled harpoon supposed to have iframes? And Zeph replies, I have not seen that weapon in my 80 plus hours. Thomas says, I think it's good now that you used to play like Morgath. And then Zeph says, I'm at 250 hours and I'm tapped out, TBH. Only checking rotating shops now. Thomas says, that's okay if you played for 250 hours. Go play something else for a while and come back when we've got more awesome stuff in it. Zappy replies to that saying, 150 hours here, start of the breach. It's enough for a PTR? Question mark. Thomas says, it might be if you make it through R3 trials. And then Cassio says, what are the 3 trials? Thomas replies, thievery. You'll need to perform a series of stealth and puzzle tasks, pickpocketing, trading items, and even briefly rescuing a prisoner to ultimately retrieve the fabulous idol from beneath the governor's mansion. Swordplay. Armed with nothing but a wooden sword and a sharp tongue, you'll learn the art of insult-based sword fighting after training with Captain Smirk and dueling through the island's pirates to learn their comeback as you face off against the Swordmaster to best him in a best of 5 duel. And then finally, treasure hunting. Giving Bogus Map a dance step, you must interpret your instructions, back, left, right, follow them through the island, and dig the resulting X to uncover the lost treasure of Melee Island. This is in and of itself, I think, is very humorous, but it's very curious too. I don't know if you guys got a vibe, but reading this, it just sounds like that could be something that exists in this game, and I want it to. Obviously, I think there's a little bit of silliness in his post here, but the idea that you have 3 trials that could be in the game that could really kind of open up different gameplay experiences and quests, I'm all for it. I'm very curious to see what that has. Now, that's all the news that I have for you guys today. I'll be back as soon as we see some patch number or hotfix number 4 information. And as patch number 1 gets a little bit closer to being, real, and we have a date on that, I know we'll be bringing that. We'll also be continuing doing our live streams Saturday mornings, running hardcore, and having a lot of fun and talking about the future of this game. So hopefully I'll get to see you there. All that being said, I like to end my videos with a message of hope. Now, the reason in this video, this is really maybe called a message of challenge, because for those of you who don't know, as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. So this week is more about just me kind of challenging you, and also kind of holding myself responsible. I want us not to slack on the care of our physical bodies, right? It's going to catch up to all of us. One of the things I've been doing, is working out in the mornings. The reason why I stream Saturday mornings and not any other day of the week is the gym is open every other day of the week. Saturday morning, they don't open until much later in the day. So I have, what am I going to do at this early hour where nobody needs me? I'm going to play some video games. That all being said is that stretching, walking, movement, these are very important. I think they're going to also make you a better gamer. Feeling physically good and then being able to sit down and enjoy a video game, I think that's a combination for both fun, but also whatever like in-game goals you might have. So this week, I want you to think about what out-game goals that you could kind of have and just challenge yourself. This is a reminder for those of you out there who are already kind of doing that. Maybe we've all kind of taken the foot off the gas for a little bit. That's fine. That's something that happens. But that's why I wanted to make this week a week of challenge to say, hey, get back into it. Whether it's going for a walk, whether it's trying to touch your toes, like there are ways to do it. And I would recommend, like one of the things, especially if you're ADHD, body doubling is a really cool thing. Find a video that's like, hey, we're gonna stretch, or we're gonna kind of work out together. If you don't have somebody else in your life that you know of the same kind of goals, and that's fine if you do, and if you don't, but utilize the technology and the tools to find ways to set a routine, create a habit, right? I'd encourage each and every one of you, let's stretch in the morning if at a minimum, and let's stretch before bed at a minimum. Let's get our muscles as loose and as, you know, I guess resilient as they can be, because it's going to pay off in the long run. So this is just a little bit of a reminder of that for each and every one of us, because, you know, unless you're Benjamin buttoning this thing up, we're all getting older each and every day, and we should take care of ourselves. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for taking your time today to give it to me, and I hope that you guys got something good out of it. Outside of that, I wish you guys all the best very much, and God bless, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. But until then, take care.